episode. I've got my co-host here today, whenever I have any kind of watch nerding going on, which this full episode will be complete watch nerding, I've got to call.
If you're a girl, turn off now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, oh, done. Yeah, watched it. I have to have Kevin Christy here, who, of course, you've heard us talk Basil World, and that's how we bonded when we first started at the Comedy Store. When I started, I met him. And we've got a great guest today. Introduce yourself.
My name is Beau Goorey. I'm co-owner of a company called Los Angeles Watchworks. Specialize in restoration and repair primarily on vintage pieces, but contemporary watches as well.
Amazing, because about a week ago, I'm at the store. Kevin goes, "You see this guy? He's cutting into cases and stuff. I don't. How do you feel? How do you feel about that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And I was like, "Fuck, do you do that?" And then I meet you the next day. It's
Crazy.
so spooky.
Yeah.
And you walk out and you go, "Holy shit, Dean Delray, you knew me and you're a comedy fan."
Yeah,
You're
big
like,
fan of comedy.
You're like, Death Squad, man. I couldn't believe it. And right away, I was so fucking happy because I go, this is going to be the ultimate guest for us.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate you having me.
Now, I walked in and you've got an amazing place. You're out in Pasadena.
Thank you.
And I immediately wanted to know everything about Rolexes. And we're going to have a ton of questions on watches and movements and everything.
Let's do it.
But what your main thing is most people do a shitty job at polishing watches. If they want to sell it or whatever, they want it to look new, which
Right.
I didn't know back in the day that you could just polish the watch and it would look brand new.
Yeah.
But I also didn't know back in the day that it rounded the edges.
Yeah.
And really bad.
For our purposes, even the word polishing is kind of bad news because when you think of polishing, especially in terms of watches, you think of Joe Jeweler with a polishing mop and a bunch of rouge, just make the case shiny, and that's for collectors like you guys, myself. That's bad news. So it's more refinishing, and it took a long time, man. I took a lot of R&D and just kind of reverse engineering how. Our focus is primarily, vintage Rolex, but also dive watches and other, cool stuff, Omegas from like the 60s and 70s. So it took a long time to kind of reverse engineer because, by today's methods, with CNC and, modern diamond abrasives and stuff, they do things a lot differently. And that's great for manufacturing, not so good for restoration and repair. So we really use, lapping machines and different grades of abrasive papers and kind of the old world method of recutting cases the way they used to do it back in the 60s and 70s.
Now, are you the first guy to cut into cases, do you think?
No, there's other guys doing it out there. There's guys in Switzerland that have been doing it for a while, a couple companies in Italy that do good work. But as far as the U.S., I think we're the first people to really kind of focus on it. Because for most watchmakers and even service centers, it's often overlooked aspect. They service movements and shine up cases and give them back to clients, and that's fine and dandy for normal people, but for collectors, case condition it's everything.
Yeah.
It also seems to be an area that's pretty ripe for fucking up.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
if you not get it, like the level of risk seems pretty. Because I looked, I don't know how I came upon your Instagram, but I was like, I looked at it and you had like two bevels side by side, or
Right.
two cases. I was like, how the.
That was the 5508 case.
Yeah, it was a
right?
5508, and I was like, wait. I literally was confused. I was like, I don't get it. Because it didn't, I was like, that looks the same size.
Right.
And I'm like, that looks like a new edge,
Yeah.
brand new. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Essentially, it is.
Yeah, and I was like, do you add? I couldn't figure it out, so I showed it to you. I was like, what the hell do you think of this, dude? I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, we were like, is he adding metal? Because is the case, like when they're doing the ghetto polishing and the case gets rounded, is it just, un-eye detectable amounts of metal coming off that you could never tell, but you could only tell because of the shape?
Right. It's not a whole lot of metal coming off. A lot of times, depending on how heavy guys go, it does remove a lot of metal. But most time, they're just rounded out.
Is
Yeah,
that
you
right?
see some
Yeah.
super. I mean, especially in subs, you see
Oh, yeah.
some rounded ass subs, and it took forever for me to like know what I was looking at
Right.
after Date Just too. Like old Date Just.
Sure.
I mean, you see me like that now. Knowing I'm like, God damn, how many times did you polish this
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
But
I've seen some fucking horror stories over the years, guys. Beautiful watches that have been just, that looked. I mean, you look at like the Crown Guards, and you're like, dude, that case was probably unpolished before they took it to a jewelry polishing wheel and just hammered it.
now a lot of these. Do you think a lot of these cases you see with problems were they in theory polished at Rolex? Because a lot of people were sending them in.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some, Rolex is great as far as like doing factory movement services, but they don't have a collector in mind. They very much have a, throw away the old parts, take new ones off the shelf.
Yeah.
And for
Well,
us,
I
that
think
kills it.
That's their bit. They don't. I mean, I'm sure they find the vintage market relatively annoying because they
Yeah.
would much rather have
Yeah.
all of us be walking into Rolex stores and buying new watches.
Well, there's horror stories of a guy sending it in with like a, an old dial that's patinaed and everything. He came back with a new dial,
Yeah.
And there's two mindsets of me on that. Like the guy's working at Rolex, like this dial's worth paper. Move it to the side and put in the new
Yeah, I
one.
mean-
And a lot of guys are like, wow, my watch looks new again. But all of us, the same with, vintage cars and guitars, you want all original. You want original patina. You want original hands, original loom,
Yeah.
everything, right?
I wonder with how lucrative the vintage market has gotten and just the old Rolex market in general, do you foresee there being just fewer and fewer all original Rolex watches to the point where things like replaced hands and kind of minor things like that won't be nearly as big a deal just because of the lack of numbers of watches available?
Yeah, I see it moving that way. I mean, a lot of stuff is just general wear items, tubes, crowns,
Yeah.
gasket. I mean, that stuff gets changed on a routine service. But, I mean, unless there's water intrusion or major damage, I mean, dial and hand should stick with the watch,
Yeah.
Let's talk about the first one you carved into. You had to be shitting your pants. Was it just a shitty one you bought to practice?
No. I've been doing this for like 15 years, so.
Which also, first of all, you don't look like a watchmaker.
Yeah,
at all.
how old
Somebody
are you,
else.
dude? How old are you?
I'll be 38 in December.
38, yeah, because
Yeah.
when the guy said, "Do you want to meet the dude?" and you came out, I thought it was just going to be an ancient.
man glass.
I
Yeah,
thought it was
no.
going to be, Willy Wonka's grandpa.
Yeah,
What's his name?
watch
on
it,
there?
yeah,
Charlie. Charlie's grandpa.
Grandpa Joe.
Yeah.
Watchmakers look like owls, essentially.
Yeah,
Like, they have two sets of glasses.
Yep.
Their hunch,
Hunched over.
their
Yeah.
hunch is incredible. And that's kind of, you want weird eyebrow. Like there was a guy I bought an Omega from
Yeah.
that place on Beverly where Craig Evans Small used to be.
Oh, yeah,
it was
yeah.
like an
Good
antique
friend and
mall.
client. I've known Craig for
Great
over
dude.
a decade.
Yeah,
Really good
great dude. Like but there was a guy in there, like this really old Israeli guy who had great prices on Omegas, but he looked like an owl. Like his eyebrows touched his bangs. Like it was
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
But like you're like, oh, you've been in the watch game a very long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Let's talk about you're 38, and where do you grow up?
I was born in Arcadia, grew up in San Gabriel Valley. So
wow.
local guy. Yeah.
I'm from La Crescenta.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So at what age and what gets you into watches? Because I told Kevin it was Bond. I wanted everything Bond. Rossignol skis.
We all do.
I wanted the Lotus Sprint, and I wanted the Rolex. What got you into them?
I mean, I finished school, did a bunch of different stuff. I wrestled in school, got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai.
Wow.
Actually fought a couple of amateur smokers, and decided I didn't want to get kicked in the head for a living.
One day I wish I could go back and see, like, this hurts.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
hey, I feel kind of shitty today.
Plus, for smaller dudes, there wasn't a lot of opportunity in MMA back then.
Oh yeah. MMA. I mean, I remember those early UFCs.
Tank Abbott against fucking
Yeah.
Royce Gracie.
Well, you could punch
Anyway.
in you could do anything you wanted. So
yeah.
guys were just getting punched in the dick over and over again.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was, obviously the pinnacle, the highest level is UFC, and
Yeah.
the lightest weight class they had was 155 lightweight.
Yeah.
So I walk around at 150 pounds pounds, I'd be fighting it. You know, guys cut crazy. I'd be cutting it like 35.
Yeah.
You do any bar
So-
fights? You getting any bar fights?
Not in a long time.
Right, but I mean, back in the day, would you just go out and fucking do some bar fighting?
No, I never look for it. Never look for it. But I mean, being a small dude growing up, I mean, that's how I ended up in martial arts in the first place.
Yeah,
you
getting
know?
beat up. Like, fuck this, ain't
Yeah,
getting beat up anymore.
yeah.
So what gets you into watches?
So, you know, did a lot of different things. You know, played around with the MMA game. Worked for a painting contractor, and my dad was a graduate gemologist. You know, he was a diamond dealer.
Oh, wow.
You know, had an office in downtown Atlanta.
Are you Jewish?
No.
Wow.
No.
Again, rare.
Yeah.
So it was a rare thing because my dad was one of the few American guys who was
Yeah.
actually in the jewelry business, and so kind of took an interest in his business. And you know, his partner at the time was a Rolex trained watchmaker, who you know, worked for the Beverly Hills boutique for like 10 or 11 years.
Geary's?
No, when Beverly they used to have just a Rolex service center.
Oh,
in
yeah,
Beverly-
that's the one on Wilshire.
They closed it for a long time and
Yeah.
then kind of reopened it, but
This place is kind of spooky before we go any further. I went in there one day. I was telling
It's
Kev,
cavernous and empty and weird.
it's totally empty. There's-
cold, dark.
There's
Yeah.
no one in there. And I just walk in and I'm looking around. I'm like, what's going on? And out of nowhere, it was like, shh, a door opened and said,
Yeah.
hi. And I was like, I'm not here for some religions,
Like,
you know?
am I in the Hotel of the Shining?
Fuck
Right,
yeah,
right.
it was really weird. And then they took my watch and they go, we'll be right back. And they came back and they went, yes, it's real. Because I went down there to see if it was real, you know, like a watch, you know?
Well, they're checking serial numbers to see if it's stolen.
Yeah, oh, that's,
Ah,
oh,
okay.
wow.
Yep.
Man, this morning on Instagram, I saw a guy posting some guy got his Lang 1 stolen.
Oh yeah.
What a bum. And they were like, this guy saved up. This wasn't a rich dude. This was like, this was this guy's Grail watch. He saved up for a decade, bought a Lang 1, and some guy ripped it off him.
Where at? Off his
And
arm?
like, yeah, off,
Oh,
off his
robbed him?
arm in Europe.
Wow.
I mean, that's a $30,000 watch.
He better had it insured.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
hope, but still, it's like, God damn it, dude.
So this guy's,
My business partner actually, who I got to mention, Eric Koo, who you know, being in the watch game, I'm sure.
I know
you've heard
Eric. I know that name. Yeah.
TipS10.com.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's my partner in,
Oh, cool.
in our business, but he just did a crazy unboxing on IG of a, it was a Lang, but I don't remember what model it was.
Yeah.
This morning. It was very
I'm a
cool.
big. I love Lang.
Yeah.
okay, so your father's partner's
Yep.
Rolex service guy.
Yep. Started learning the trade from him, and
You were just into it out of the gate, like, wow, I want to get into Rolex.
always kind of interested in watches, but you know, actually bought a couple Rolexes, pre-owned Rolexes, and
what are we
and-
talking, 15 years, 16 years
Yeah,
ago?
about, yeah, 15, 16 years
And,
ago.
and what models did you buy?
Just Datejust, like 1601, 1603s, plastic Datejust, which at the
the
time,
best.
right, not super collectible like they are now.
No.
So they were super cheap. I know you're talking, you know, buy a watch for $800-900.
Wow.
You know, sell it for $1,200-1,500 the next day. It's a pretty good margin.
I still
Yeah.
think those 1600s, 1601s, and 1603s are like the best value.
oh, I love them.
Everyone I've ever had runs great.
Yep.
They're just, I love them. I love them to death.
killer.
And they're still reasonable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get them with like a nice wide boy dial
Yeah.
or like a doorstop. There's cool stuff out there to be had.
Yeah.
You know.
I want the Buckley dial.
Yeah.
I love the Buckley.
So you start
sick.
getting into it?
Yeah, and from buying and selling my own pieces, started working on them, and you know, just
Okay, but that's. I mean, you're like
Yeah.
buying something. Maybe I start working on. That's not. There's. I mean.
I open them up, dude. I open it up, and he
you're like,
shows
"What?"
it to me. I'm like, I don't even know
Yeah,
what. how
that's
do
a
you do-
big. There's a big learning curve in there.
I open
To
it up.
where you're like you don't take one of those like screwdrivers that has 3 different nibs and go, all right, let's check this out. Like it's pretty serious.
It looks so foreign to 99.9 American percent of people. You know?
Also, to everyone listening, the parts are to say they're tiny
minuscule. Yeah.
is not even accurate.
Yeah.
Like, you're dealing in
Micromechanics.
Yeah, literally micromechanics, those magnifying glass head things, and like it's serious. So like, how were you able to even learn? Like, what is there? Did you get a book, or was it just watching?
Let me back up. You know,
Yeah.
started working on like shitty quartz movements.
Okay.
and just learn from there.
The guy's training you, your dad's buddy?
Yes.
And how long was he in the game?
He worked for the service center for Rolex for like 11 years
Okay.
before he went out on his own, and with the Rolex parts account and
What's his name?
Avo
Okay.
Antivillian. Still
Okay.
still in the business. Avo's Watch Repair.
Yeah.
Wow.
Downtown. Shout out to Avo.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love those dudes.
So you start learning from him, and what kind of stuff are you learning? Because you said something to me. A lot of people don't know this, and Rolex and automatic movements. The certification is +5 or -5 seconds a day means fine.
Right. It's the governing body is COSC. Certified official Swiss chronometers.
Swiss
Yeah. They say it in a much cooler accent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So to be a chronometer, that's the regulation. Needs to be ±5 seconds a day.
And so, what are some of the first thing you're learning? How to adjust that? Is that like the major first thing you're going to learn? Watch
timing adjustments on automatic and perpetual movements is like one of the last things.
Really? What is the first stuff you're learning? Like lubrication?
Just getting a basic understanding of the gear train and how things are powered, and every aspect of that.
So, did you primarily focus solely on Rolex in the beginning?
Yes. Yeah.
Does learning how to service a Rolex make it so that learning other brands is relatively easy or harder, or are they incredibly different, or are they all kind of similar-ish?
Pretty similar-ish as far as perpetual movements go. The thing about Rolex for me and a lot of other big brands, AP mentioned, Elang, is just repeatability. A lot of watch brands out there, you can't, from a technician standpoint, you can't take them apart and put them back together. Screws break, stuff strips out.
Okay.
The best brands, you can take them apart, put them back together 10 times, nothing breaks. General wear items are replaced, but...
What do you think is the most overrated, incredibly expensive brand of watches? You're like, why are fuckers buying these?
Hublot?
No offense.
Hublot?
You nailed it.
I knew it.
Hublot are fucking garbage!
Dude,
Fucking everybody hates them.
You know
Except
what?
for the guys that love them.
you know why I can't stand that watch? It has no fucking soul.
Yeah.
It has no soul.
Yeah.
It just
It's jewelry
screams.
that tells time.
It just screams to me like Ed Hardy fucking shirt and Schwarzenegger, kind of big watch.
Right.
And they just have no soul.
It's just like, hey, let's round off an AP Royal Oak.
yeah.
Yawn.
Yeah.
We all haven't thought that. We got to put screws on it. Why?
Yeah.
For guys that have dicks. You're
Right.
just so boring.
Yeah.
They take, add a movement off the shelf, decorate the oscillating weight, done. No,
They're boring.
Yeah.
When I see people with them, and sometimes guys will be like, "Hey, I heard you on this podcast. You're a watch guy. What did you see?" And they'll show me a Hublot.
such a bummer.
I'm like, "Yeah, man, good job." Because I know I love this site, The Purists. I've always loved it. And what I've always liked about it is there's they have a code. You're not allowed to be rude.
Right.
Yeah.
You're literally not. If someone posts a watch, I don't care if it's that weird cheetah Daytona.
Sure.
Yeah, I love it. My
Steven
favorite-
Tyler
I
has
love
it.
it. I love it.
It's oddly
It's so
the
gross.
best.
I love
It's so fucking weird.
So
it's
raw.
great.
Yeah.
You're like, you're rich and
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
this is the only Rolex Steven Tyler could own.
Yeah.
But you could post that thing, and if anyone's ugly, you get booted.
Banned.
Yeah.
Which is to me great
Yep.
because watches are expensive.
Right.
And if you like that Hublot, and you came up with the 19 grand to buy, God bless. I'm glad you like it. I wouldn't buy it. That's not my shit.
Yeah.
But then again, if I showed you watches I think are worth the money, you'd be like, that is so dumb.
Yeah. Why do you want that old piece of shit for 50 grand?
Also,
exactly.
Also, I know that Rolex is not the best watch on the planet, and we know that. And to a lot of people, I try to explain it like Kevin and I say, this is just a blue-collar, high-ticket item. It doesn't even count in the rich game. People go, oh, you got a Rolex, you're a baller. Not even close.
No.
No,
it's
there's
just
tourbillons that are 250
Well,
grand.
not only
Yeah.
that, but it's like I got this Rolex. You probably smoke cigarettes every day or buy 2 Starbucks a day. You can have a Rolex. Just
Yeah.
cut out the
Yeah.
Starbucks, and at the end of the year, you got any Rolex they make.
It's the dirt. I've told you
Yeah.
I like it because it's the dirtbag watch.
It is.
It's successful tattoo artist.
Yeah, skaters.
Skaters, mechanics, artists. It's It's the thing you buy when you made more money than you thought you would make doing the thing people told you probably shouldn't do.
Right.
Or you got some kind of weird bump of cash that you didn't think was coming.
Fuck,
and you're like, fuck it, Submariner.
Although when I meet watchmakers, they all just have a Rolex.
I know.
They're just like, they have a sub or a Datejust because they're like, yeah, this thing runs well. It's
Good
dependable. Yeah, it's a good investment.
You came in with the new sub.
Right.
And you could potentially really wear anything, right? I
mean, with,
like, what do you think is the best?
for me, it's vintage.
What's your grail?
Yeah.
Full spec 5517 mil sub.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, or 6538 Big Crown. You know, we're
So-
talking
Yes.
bomb. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's my shit.
So
I love
you're-
a 5508. I'm a simple
Yeah,
lady.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
So
Although,
you're a Rolex guy if you could have any watch on the planet.
yeah, for sure.
Over Patek and everything?
I like Pateks. I like working on them. Very well made, but you know, I'm a rough guy, you know.
Yeah.
And I need something that I can kind of beat up a little bit.
Yeah.
you know?
yeah. That's the thing about why I think a lot of people like Rolex. You just put it on. You don't have to worry about it. Because I had a Lang. I had an 1815 manual wind.
Nice.
Which is, it's so stunning. And honestly, I didn't have to. I barely touched the crown. It started running because
Yeah.
like literally, it was like it knew I was about to wind it. Like it was like, oh, Kevin's ready. Like the thing and the movement was beautiful, but it was gold, and I would like worry about bumping it all the time. I
Yeah.
didn't wear it that much. I heard someone had a great quote. It was in a magazine. It was like, your watch shouldn't change the way you walk. Like
Oh,
you shouldn't tuck
that's
it behind your
amazing.
back. You
Right.
shouldn't
Yeah.
like hide it under your sleeve.
Wow, that's an amazing quote.
Yeah, it shouldn't change the way you behave at all. And I
Yeah.
think that's why, like, I'm gonna buy a watch pretty soon, and I can't pick because in my price range there's a lot to pick from,
Yeah.
and they're all like Rolexes that are cool. So I'm just like looking at HQ every day, like over and over and over again. But I found this great picture of Paul Giamatti just wearing like the most normal sub ever, and I was like, that's what I want. There's something about like a guy's like, I just need a fucking give me one of those Rolexes.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, I don't want to think about it. I want to just put it on.
Yeah.
I can get it wet.
Yep.
It'll run like a top. Every 5 years, I give it to like someone like you. I get it back, and it's like, it's just, you don't have to worry about it.
Shit, mine doesn't even have the date on it. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, why did you choose no date? Since you're a watch guy, is it different?
Classic.
Classic, just clean
The original
face.
sub, no
Clean
date.
face.
Yep. I like base models. You know.
I like base models too.
Yep. I like military watches, hence the NATO. No frills. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does its job. Nothing it shouldn't. Everything it should. Done.
What do you think about the boom in Speedmasters that's happened? in the
Yeah,
last
what
2
happened
years?
there?
It's crazy, dude. I mean,
What happened there?
I got my
321s
ass
have-
kicked on one.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Dean sells one for me for like $3,000.
It took months.
321 or 861.
A 321
Okay.
10. It was a 145014.
Okay.
And it took forever to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like,
And now it's $8,000.
It's been like the last, I don't know, year, 18
what
months. they've
happened there?
just
Did someone
skyrocketed.
wear one that we didn't see all of a
Was
sudden?
it that auction?
I mean, the auctions definitely help. I've always thought Speedmasters are a lot of watch for the money.
That's what-
it's a
I've always
really
thought they
nice
were
chronograph,
underrated.
Great aesthetics, good history. You know, moon landing.
Yeah.
And they've been undervalued a long time. I think they finally just made it up to.
I
where
mean,
they're
the
supposed
like
to be.
the Chuck Yeager GMT
Yeah.
is worth a fortune, and it didn't go on the fucking moon. Like,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
like if any Rolex
speed
had a
record,
yeah,
but-
if any Rolex had a history half as as cool as going to the moon.
oh, yeah. Right.
Who even like if there was a Daytona, if there was the moon Daytona?
Oh, yeah.
it'd be $180,000.
Yeah. I
It'd
mean,
be insane.
Well, Explorer 1016 went to the Mount Everest, and
yeah.
that thing
Yeah.
sells for some good money. It's
I don't.
so
Was
simple.
it wasn't a 1016 though.
Well,
No,
it was
it
the one
was
before.
6610.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
That's the 66.
Now, in the last 2 weeks, Cokes have gone through the roof all of a sudden. They were $5,500 all day, and in the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden, they're $8,500.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like, it just happens out of nowhere.
See, it makes me wonder what's going to happen with all the 16610s and all the basic sapphire models before they went with the new case and the ceramic bezel.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about the Cokes, the 16710s.
The Green
What's-
Frog.
Are those going to skyrocket? Because you saw what Sea Dwellers did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Sea Dwellers have calmed down a bit
Yeah.
in the last like month. I think Sea Dweller is one of those things where like the average guy doesn't. They're like, why is that different?
Right.
And they're like, so why is that one $1,000 more? It looks
Yeah.
like I remember having to explain to my ex-wife why I had both of them. I had a sub and a C.
It's different, honey.
She's like, they look. I was like, no, they're. I sound stupid. But yeah, 16.610s to me are interesting because there's got to be millions of them.
Oh yeah.
So
800,000 watches a year, Rolex pumps.
800,000 a year they make.
Yeah, not just subs.
Right, but still, 500 are probably subs.
Yeah, it's a lot of
So
watches.
you figure there's literally a couple million out there. So demand's never going to be like high, but fake demand could be kind of high.
Right.
Like places like Bob Watches is sitting on like I don't know 70.
Yeah.
Like they probably just have tons of them.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, that's what I'll probably end up getting because they're really reasonable.
Yeah.
And I think a really good value.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And like that's a watch you'll have for 20 years, and maybe it'll go up. But like, I had a Matt Dial 16800.
Love that watch.
And it took forever to go up. Like those you could find cheap. Like they were like people were like, oh, they didn't
care.
It was like the bastard of a 1680. We're like, no. That like
I want the new dial.
Yeah, I went to what's his name in the Deep Valley, the guy John Mayer sued, and he was like, we have 10 of these, and like, and he was like, the guy is like, he's convinced these are gonna be a $10,000 watch one day. I was like, yeah, in like 11 years.
Yeah.
Do you know anything on that John Mayer thing? What happened?
No, I know it was over Daytona. I guess.
I think more than one.
Yeah,
because
like
they
maybe
sued
2 or
him for
3.
like $700,000. I think it was like 7. Because I wasn't supposed to see this, but I saw a picture of Mayer's Daytona pile.
Yeah.
It was upsetting.
Dude,
wow.
He's got a crazy collection, man.
Yeah, he does.
He never talks about the Rolex collection. He's always talking about IWC and videos and shit, but like, I mean, there were like 50.
Yeah. Wow.
And they were, and these were.
And how many Newmans? A ton.
Yeah.
Dude.
All Newmans.
Almost all.
Oh.
And part of me was like, hey, I don't even think there are that many out there. And if you're buying them at that rate, you're not doing the necessary due diligence for a watch. Because you hear,
what
Craig
happens?
Small told me a guy came in and was like, I want to sell this Newman. He's like, I had to look the guy in the face and be like, this is a fake dial.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I knew he'd paid $55,000.
Right.
Like, what do you even do? Call the FBI?
Yeah.
Let's get into some fake stuff here.
Ugh, terrifying.
When I talked to you, you said that you could put a watch in your hand, close your eyes, and know it was fake. You've been doing this so long.
Indeed.
How do you know it's fake? Are they making fake movements? What is everything about fake now?
Interestingly enough, in terms of fakes, Rolexes are the easiest to spot.
Really?
Yeah, because Rolex, for all intents and purposes, everything is perfect.
Wow.
So when you look close, I mean, if the serifs are off,
Yeah.
the indices, the bezel font, the way, the threads on the case tube, the crown on the crown, just everything. There's so many.
I notice when
details.
like a lot of times when you take and watch, the first thing they'll flip it over and look at the serial stamp. They'll look at the stamp on the bracelet.
Yeah.
Is that I've read that's a big one because fake people they're not stamping it, they fake engrave it.
Right.
And so it looks different because its stamp has like almost like
On the case?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're almost like die struck, like a coin.
Yeah.
On the blades.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get them perfect.
Yeah. Well, if you're engraving it by hand, it's hard to get it. Is it like the edge of the numbers almost have like a bevel to them?
Yeah.
That's what I notice a lot of people point to. Because it used to be, I always looked for the magnification and date.
Right.
Because usually that's not big enough.
Right, yeah, like I saw a fake panel right away, and the magnifying eye was too small. Now, are you seeing fake movements, like where it says Rolex and everything on the movement, or do you just open the back and go, this is fake?
When you open them up, I mean, the biggest thing that jumps out on Rolex movement are the reversing wheels. Those 2 purple reversing wheels.
Yeah.
Are those plastic?
No.
They're
No,
not.
they look like magnesium or something.
The pink ones are.
the pink ones.
I
Right?
always thought that was plastic.
No
No.
plastic.
Wow, thank God. I was like, why do they run these plastic wheels in there?
Yeah, no.
I never knew that. Okay.
So you open up and if you look for those, they're there. But now, I mean, I've seen movements with correct looking reversing wheels. The bridges are decorated properly. I mean, they're built to deceive.
Really?
Yeah, big time.
And wow, so you think it could go by a watch seller, like say he's buying watches, he opens and goes, that's real, and just puts it in a pile without really looking at it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you've done them enough, man, and you've looked at enough watches, you just know. It's almost like a sixth sense.
No
you know?
shit, huh?
But there's, like I said, Rolexes are the hardest to fake because everything has to be perfect. But there's a lot of other brands. Like I've seen some really scary Panerais recently.
I've heard
Really?
about Panerizers because that movement is simple.
Yeah, it's a it's a value, you
Yeah.
know, and also APs. I saw a Royal Oak not that long ago.
What's this?
I saw an offshore, and I shit you not, it had a real clasp and real alligator strap on it. One of those big ridge gators. The strap alone's $500.
Yeah.
You know, the case, screws, movement. You know how the date magnifier is actually on the dial. I mean, so good.
Wow.
So good.
Wow. So what was fake on it?
Everything except the strap, the clasp, and it was hard to tell, man. The dial might have even been real, but the case was fake. The movement was fake.
Wow. And did you tell the guy, or did he know he had a fake?
Oh, yeah, well, it was a dealer who came to me to get it authenticated.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's like, "Should I buy this thing? Is it kosher?"
Yeah.
No.
Now, when a watch comes in and a guy wants to get it serviced, have you had a guy who's owned a watch for years? He brings it in to get serviced, and you go, "This is fake."
I've had to. Yeah.
And what just happens, man?
It's heartbreak, you know.
Oh,
I mean, we
heartbreaking.
have to tell him for liability purposes, you know.
course.
But yeah, it's
Yeah, because if you don't, he's gonna think you switched out shit
yeah, and
on
heaven
him.
forbid if at a later date, we work on the watch without mentioning it, and somebody else inspects it, it could come back to us, and
That's what I'm saying. They
yeah.
think that you swapped out the movement and stuff.
I know a dude who got what he thought was an Explorer 1016 as a gift, but it was one of those Oyster Perpetuals where they just put in the dial.
Yeah.
And that, that's what sucks. Is you're like, it's all Rolex, but all wrong.
Yeah.
and it's weird because it's only
parts watch.
It's the difference between a $2,500 watch and a $7,000 watch.
Right.
At the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the shit that terrifies me. Because early on, when I didn't know anything, I bought what I thought was, I bought a 1680, and I was like, this one's really cheap. And I realized, like, oh, because it has a replaced dial. Like, it had, and I was like,
Like
why
a
is mine
service
said,
dial or a refinished dial?
it said Swiss.
Okay.
So
Okay, so
I
it's
wasn't,
service dial.
yeah, I bought it from a dude
Yeah.
But I wasn't, he didn't lie to me, I just didn't know enough.
Right.
Like, I looked at the dial, I was like, it says Rolex, and then I took it home, I was like, man, this thing glows real bright for something that's from 1968. And I was like, huh. And I was like, Swiss versus T25. God damn it. So I had to go to Wanna Buy a Watch, be like, you got any 1680 dials in hand? They were like, yes, we do. How much? $600. God damn it. So I was like,
it's
oh,
not bad.
I paid, at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back then, Craig Evans Small and Wanna Buy a Watch had parts.
Yeah.
Because Craig told me he bought out like a servicer from Orange County and got like, this is like 2005.
Yeah.
You could go into Craig Evans Small Shop and be like, I need a bracelet. He'd be like, no problem. And sell you an Oyster bracelet
Wow.
for like $400.
Yeah.
Which now, he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
No one does, like in the world.
Yeah.
Like I should have just bought bracelets back then.
Yeah.
Bezel. Look at bezel inserts.
Oh, dude, he had boxes
Insane.
of them. And
Bezel-
now,
do you got bezel inserts?
I got some stuff. Yeah. Most of them now. I mean, I've sold so many of them over the years. Most of them is kind of like my personal little honeypot of like
Right.
Yeah.
super ghost inserts.
Now,
that
when
are-
you're servicing Rolex, you're using Rolex parts, right?
Right,
Do you
always.
call them, and can you get bezel inserts from them and stuff?
not vintage ones, but yeah,
Yeah,
bezel
no.
inserts.
Can
yeah.
you get the frog one? Because mine has a scratch.
Those? They only do, I think, on an exchange basis, or you might even have to send it in to them because they don't want people just taking like a regular size,
course.
slapping that bezel on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Wow. All right. Yeah.
I used to have a lot more parts over the years, but they've all been used over the years.
Now let's get back into it. So you start to cut into a case.
Right.
How do you do this? Do you do it by computer? Is it eye? Is it hand? You're going to cut into a case, and you're going to make the case back to original sharp edges.
Right. It's all about angles. We talked earlier about the word polishing, versus refinishing. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like polishing a katana. We don't polish. We step down in grades of abrasives, and that's how you keep things flat.
Like, what do you do?
So, anybody who's got experience in the watch game's heard of lapping machines.
Uh-huh.
So what it is, I should have brought some pics of my equipment. You've got a turning disc, face up, and you've got adjustable tables and jigs and tooling to hold cases so you can present them to the wheel on a consistent angle.
right.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that's how they're getting around because they just
Exactly.
because I seen like buffer wheels and the guys just like
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how you polish a ring, not a watch.
yeah. I seen guys do that.
yeah.
They're just like, hey, let me see your watch. I'll make it look brand
Well, you
new.
go to
It's
Ben
funny.
Bridge and they'd be like, "Do you want us to polish your watch while you look at something?" And
I
I'm like,
know.
"Yeah, go ahead." They
Yeah,
hand it back to
totally.
you.
That's how
You're
it
like,
used
"What
to
happened?"
be.
Yeah.
That's like the number one sin. I mean, you never polish a watch with a movement inside. You know.
Oh wow.
Really? That's all. I mean, dude.
Wow. No shit, huh?
Yep.
So you're cutting into it, and what are you using? Like, is it like
Lightsaber.
like
Right.
like a Dremel or something? Like the tooth shit?
No, we never use hand tools. I mean, a lot of it, I'll be completely honest, it's some of it's trade secret. I mean,
Oh, I got you. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I got you.
You know, we can do what we do, and there's not a lot of other people doing it.
Yeah.
But
That's the thing. When I looked at that picture, I was like, I don't. I was like, well, I don't. What's going
Doesn't
on here?
compute.
Yeah, I was like, what's? This is a secret.
Yeah.
Because I never see it.
I know.
And I look. I mean, I'm looking.
Yeah, we're on Instagram all day
Yeah,
long.
I've never seen the bevel cut like that.
Right.
So I was like, wait, this is new shit. And I was genuinely confused.
right.
Now I had Brian the bootmaker on, and he
Saw
said, he said Instagram changed his game, and you told me 2 days ago Instagram changed the watch business 100%. How do you
100%.
think?
Especially in vintage stuff. I mean, you know, there's a small little core group of guys, dealers, us in the trade, that, you know, I've always been hot on vintage. But,
Yeah.
you know, at least me personally, you get on Instagram, the whole world, man. I had no idea there were so many vintage collectors as well as vintage dealers. You know, there's guys with stuff you wouldn't believe, you know, at all parts of the world.
Those get-together pictures are terrifying.
Right?
Oh.
The big piles.
The big
Yeah.
piles.
Oh.
You're like, how much? Here's what my only problem with the watch game is this. A lot of the real hardcore collectors are just kind of money geeks.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you know, no, they're not dudes you want to hang out with necessarily. It's not like my least favorite type of picture in watches is the hand on the Ferrari steering wheel.
Yeah.
The watch that I like, I'm like, sweet watch, and then the cigar. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you're the worst. I'm like, I'm not hanging out with you ever. Like, we have nothing in common besides that watch.
Here's another photo I hate. The Primo watch with 9 bracelets around
Right.
it, just
Is
scarring.
Taking chunks out
Just
of it.
scarring the watch.
I look at the bracelet, I'm like, that's a metal piece on the bracelet,
It's
asshole.
unbelievable, right?
Especially me, I'm the one who has to fix that
Yeah,
shit.
you're
I'm
like,
like,
motherfucker.
no.
Okay, big question here. Since I ride motorcycles, and a lot of people listen that ride motorcycles, while riding, does it affect the movement at all from the handlebars and riding and stuff?
No.
No, not at all.
Not with modern Inca block. I mean, the way that the balance is set up, and you know the cap jewels, and no, vibration's really not an issue.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rad to know.
That is great to
Would
know.
it-
I've jumped out of planes, shot guns, scuba dive. I do.
Yeah, I would think gun shooting
Yeah.
Yeah.
on like, but like if you had like an incredible like this old Seamaster I have, it's probably pretty not delicate, but just in comparison.
More delicate.
Like a motorcycle or shooting guns may like just rattle the movement. Like this doesn't keep the best time. I told him I lose like maybe 15 seconds a day.
not bad.
Not bad for a watch this old. It drives me insane, but like I still like I just set it
does that bug
forward.
you?
Yes.
For vintage pieces, man, if
It bugs me.
well, for modern stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
But for vintage pieces, man, if I'm 5-10 minutes, good enough.
No
But
shit.
I've been spoiled because I had a 1675 that I
Yeah.
sold and shouldn't have.
Yep.
Man, I swear to God, this thing lost 2 seconds a day.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
I wore it and it was flawless.
I couldn't. I went to the atomic clock. I like synced it up and I made a note. I was like, okay, at this time it was this, and I went back. I was like, are you shitting me? It was the tightest movement I've ever owned in my
How long
entire
did you
life.
have it?
I had it for like 6 months.
Then I wore it on the motorcycle for like a year, like 6
Yeah,
months or
he
so.
bought it and then, or did you?
No, I just gave
you
it
sold
to
it for me, yeah.
I was selling it for him, but it wasn't selling, so I just wore it around, and then a buddy bought it.
was so great.
A buddy of mine bought it, and he'll sell it back to Kev right now.
Yeah.
Why'd you let it go?
I needed money. I have a dog that's
Yeah.
incredibly expensive.
He's become his 2 or 3 Rolexes.
Oh, dude, my dog's a Daytona
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
My dog's a legit mid-90s Daytona with boxing papers.
Damn. Well, it's like you touched on before. I mean, I know guys who, my father-in-law makes a ton of money. Where's the Timex? You know?
Yeah,
Where's
I
an Iron
mean,
Man?
well,
I
the
say
rich
this-
people are weird like that. I know rich guy shops at Costco for clothes.
Well, it's either your thing or it isn't, you know. And
Yeah.
I know guys who, you know, just make an okay living. They got 2-3 different Rolexes. Wear one, sell it, buy a new one.
My buddy Nate and I always talk about this. This dude Nate White, he works for Fender. He's a big watch guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, shitty car, nice watch.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, a Rolex and a RAV4. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a car guy necessarily, but like I just like a nice watch.
Yeah.
Tudor, how you liking their game?
I like it.
I like it a lot.
I like all the reissues.
Love it.
I like what they're doing.
In-house movement,
Yep, the Black Bay, the Ranger.
the Pelagos.
Yep,
That's
all-
how you say it, right? Pelagos?
Yeah, I think all that stuff's killer.
I like that small one that's like their date chest.
Yeah.
Is that a Ranger?
The
It look-
Ranger,
they're-
yeah.
They have a small Ranger. They have a big Ranger too.
Uh-huh, yeah.
That small one's classy looking.
Yeah.
You know what they're doing, which is very, very genius, and I always thought that Harley should do this. They have such a history and such a thing they could mine.
Right.
And Tudor was so smart. They were like, fuck it, here's our blue snowflake right now.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
and immediately I was in. Kevin and I, we love them, man. We're
Yeah.
like, look at this Black Bay, man.
Black
and
Bay.
I think they are just with gilt dials and
Yep.
everything. What a home run, right? For
yeah.
no money.
Do you think Tudor's like a testing ground for Rolex where they try certain things and see how it does?
I don't know. I mean, you saw how long it took Rolex to actually change the case on a sub. You know, they are creatures of
The
habit.
dial on a Daytona.
Yeah, right.
I think that. I mean, we talked about that last night. I think that's the secret to their success.
Yeah.
They're so consistent that like people that have don't know anything about watches know what a sub looks like.
Yep.
Whereas you go back to the 70s and there was some companies making some of the jivest disco crap.
Dude, that's some of the stuff I really enjoy working
Like
on.
what?
All those 60s and 70s divers, you know, some of the stuff Longines made.
I've recently gotten into Longines a little bit because
Yeah.
Malcolm X wore a cool one.
Yeah?
He had like a really, and by the way, they're not expensive. You
No.
can find great manual wine ones for very
yeah.
little money.
Yeah.
They're cool looking. They're so simple looking.
Yeah.
There's a couple that I think they have like a star on the dial. Like they're cool looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of been like my shiny new toy is all the like Starburst cases, like
Okay.
the Mark II Omega.
Yeah.
And a lot of the early divers that did that. I love working on those.
I want a Mark II. HQ has a Mark II right now, but it has new hands. But I want a Mark
So
II.
what? Relume them.
I don't know how to
Relume it. How do
they're-
you relume?
they're new hands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you relume hands? Do you paint it on? This is awesome. I'm so glad you're here.
Once again,
Oh, secret.
A
I
little
got
bit
ya.
of trade secret.
I got ya.
Where do you buy loom?
Yeah.
Take out the luminous material and use our special little blend and lay it in there. And
And you can't? Can you do you age it, antique it a little?
yeah,
So-
absolutely. Yeah,
Wow.
to match the dial plots.
I've had a
Wow. Are you hearing that?
aging hands doesn't actually bother me.
Yeah.
Matching hands, like, this I literally wanted to ask this because I tried to sell a watch to a reputable dealer in Orange County that has a very popular website and lots of banner ads that everyone
Yeah.
has seen. And he was like, the hands are different color than the dial. Hands aging at a different pace than the dial.
Absolutely common.
Because I believe you. I think they use it as a means to buy your watch for a much lower price.
Right.
Which is fine. That's a fine thing. People are trying to make money. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it seems I can't. I don't know. Is it as common as it
It's pretty
seems? And what do you think is the cause of that?
Oh, that's the $1 million question.
Is it that the loom is on a matte dial, which is essentially plastic, versus being surrounded by metal?
Right. I don't know. There's a lot of information and misinformation about patina, how it happens, what causes it.
Yeah.
I personally think it's a mix of UV and ozone.
Well, there's all those Costa Rican Rolexes where the
Right.
patina's insane,
Right.
Because they're so close to the equator or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah. Heat.
Heat,
You know,
heat and light.
Have you able to master? Let's say you got a Pepsi from 5 years ago, and it was super clean. Could you age that thing in your office to make it look like faded and everything? Have you mastered that yet? Like relicing, like guitars they do with Fender and,
Yeah.
and Gibson, Tom Murphy, they can age a guitar to look like a 59. At first it looked kind of cheesy, but right now it's starting to look good.
A lot of guys have tried that out there. I mean, as far as that goes, I mean that would just be taking the luminous material out of the dial and hands and putting something in it, the darker patina looking in there. maybe aging the dial. There's a lot of guys who have done it over the years. There's one company, and I have no connection to them whatsoever, but Tempest Machina.
Yeah.
If you've seen him, he does like a modern version of the Big Crown.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he just made the 369.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's right.
I really like what those guys are doing.
What about the other brand, Bamford? Do you like
Bamford.
them?
I've never personally handled any.
It's
of
a
their
little
stuff,
disco,
so-
right?
Yeah, they got some pretty wild mods. Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost think for them, I'd rather have Bamford's super weird ones than
yeah.
just like a slightly different one.
Well, I would. I mean, if I get some big paper, the Bamford fucking Brutus is coming to the house.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just so fucking weird.
But then to
Brutus
me,
on your
if you
watch.
want to go cartoon weird, get a fucking Snoopy Omega. It's genuine.
Oh no, well we love that.
I love
I
the
mean, I got
Snoopy Speedmaster.
I got clowned on the new one, man. I was supposed to get it, and then all of a sudden those things went for 20 grand, and all the dealers went, "We don't have any."
Yeah.
Like,
That's another company I like what they're doing. You know, all the reissues, like the Straight Lug Speedy they're doing.
The new Speedmaster and that new Bond Seamaster
That's
is nice.
great.
Hell yes.
The
That thing is
369?
Watch, yeah.
the 369.
Yeah, the new Mark IIs are cool looking too.
Yeah, yeah. I just worked on one recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love a Mark II. The shape,
Yep.
it's like if you want the size of a Panerai but not having to wear a Panerai.
Right.
If you don't want to wear a like Panerais don't sit on my wrist right, but that dial is fucking sweet.
I used to have a lot. I used to have quite a few Panerais, but
I have a
How about
tiny
this?
wrist.
My favorite watch, one of the top 5, and we'll get into some favorite watches. It's Panerai 203.
yeah.
Have you ever seen one in person?
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams
Oh,
has
yeah,
one.
yeah.
It's a
Sweet.
203. It's got a Rolex movement in there.
Yep, the Angelus.
Yeah. What?
That's the aspect about Panerai I like, and I think, at least in my opinion, that's what they should have stuck with.
Right.
Is their historic line. You know,
Like the
that's
372
Yeah.
that came out.
Exactly. The original special editions, the 217, the 127. Like, I love all that stuff. The Marina Militaire. But all the crazy tourbillon and ceramic case and, you know,
Yeah.
10 different limited editions every year. It's just,
Yeah.
it's overkill. You know?
Yeah.
It's like I like AP. I think they're cool, but I don't need a Shaq AP.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't need. By the way, I fucking love Shaq, but I don't need them together.
I love Stallone, but I don't need a Slide Tech.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here's the thing. I always wonder why the fuck these companies. It's so easy because right now the big secret is watch industry is down,
Yeah.
and they're trying to keep that a secret. But Basil World they talked this year is horrible.
Patek did a price decrease for the
Yeah.
first time in history.
Panerai did one.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Panerai did one.
I didn't know Patek did one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's insane.
Think about the effect that had on dealers who had a bunch of stock.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh, shit.
That's millions and millions. Although the thing is, the new Pateks are ugly as shit.
You think so?
Yes, the dials have no poetry to them anymore. Like when I look at the chronographs, it looks like every aspect of it was designed in AutoCAD.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like, because for me it's aesthetics.
Right.
It's dials. And the new chronographs look like they were designed entirely on a computer. There seems to be like no sense of just like natural design or natural order to the dials in the same way. And it's very subtle. But there's just something off to them.
I mean, they're definitely using more technology in production.
Although
So-
the first watch I ever liked, I was like 19, and I'm driving on Hill in Chinatown, and there's that Rolex dealer.
Yep.
They have Rolex and Patek. They had a giant poster of a Patek World Time, and I was like, that looks like a cool watch. I'll go home and look up this name. Oh, it's $28,000. That and a 5960. That's the chronograph, right?
Yeah.
That one, I was like, that watch is incredible. Expensive for a chronograph. I think it's $70,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, Pateks pre like 2000 to me are, you can't really beat them.
Yeah.
My Grail
great
is
watches.
my
Yeah.
Grail watch right now is the Platinum 40 day date with the honeycomb dial.
That thing's nice.
It is fucking killer.
Honeycomb dials.
Honeycomb dials are god.
Platinum's a pain in the ass to work with. But
Okay, well,
it looks.
Because
Is it 'cause
dents
it's
easy?
soft?
Yeah, it's the surface is very soft, but trying to get damage out of it, a lot of companies, manufacturers won't even refinish their own platinum watches.
Oh, wow.
They're like, take good care of them or you're on your own.
Really?
Yeah.
So what do you see?
We will,
Dents? Do you see dents?
Yeah, dents, nicks. That's why like white gold is a lot easier. It's got kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
Except it's a lot easier, after sales.
What do you think people should buy? Like, what do you think's the best? Stainless steel, white gold, yellow gold, platinum. What do you think as far as like? I mean, not value because all those exotic metals go down right away. But if you're wearing it every day, stainless steel,
Steel, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Titanium's cool if you want a lighter watch.
Oh, yeah. Like the new Pelagos.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, titanium's
Is that
cool.
shit bulletproof?
You're never going to break it. It's got a very high tensile strength, but the surface, again, is a little bit soft, so it scratches easy.
Oh, wow.
But unlike platinum, it's a lot easier to bring back to its original finish.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your least favorite Rolex?
Yeah.
Least favorite Rolex.
And when you see people wearing them, you're like, what the fuck?
That's a hard one, man.
And also, what do you think's the most like underrated Rolex that you wonder why they're not more? Because I wonder why white dial Explorer 2s aren't more popular.
These
more
things
money.
are $1.
Yeah, Explorer 2 Polar, I would say I have to agree with you as far as like.
It's got a great movement.
Yeah.
It's and they're cool looking. They don't make many white dials, so you're not going to see it. And people always complain like, oh, I don't want a Rolex because you're going to see it all the time. Well, then get an Explorer 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never see them. And I love a metal bezel.
Yeah.
I like the new Daytonas.
Yep.
But I like a steel bezel on the old Daytona better.
That's another thing I love working on is recutting those Explorer bezels.
Oh, really?
Everybody fucks them up. They look,
You mean the numbers or the edge?
everything.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't you just buy the new bezel and screw it on?
No, they don't screw on. They press on. But if we're dealing with collectible shit like a Mark I bezel, like
Yeah,
a $3
yeah.
Explorer, you want that big font bezel.
Oh, yeah.
There's actually 4 surfaces to that thing.
What?
There's a lapped edge on top, and then there's the satin side finish, and then there's another lap polish edge on the on the edge, and then there's even another spun finish edge on the very bottom.
Are you kidding me?
Dude, setup time recutting one of those, they look really simple, but it takes an hour of setup time and 5 minutes to actually process it.
That's insane because that watch is so underrated.
Yeah,
I think what really fucked up the new one was those giant fat hands.
You don't like them? It's kind of a nod to the 1655.
I think the markers are the problem. The markers
Too
are
big.
too big.
Okay,
The hands look
maxi
cool.
markers.
The maxi markers with the hands, it was like, ugh. Like,
Yeah.
it's too much.
Jumps out at you.
And the case is big. The case is bigger than this.
Yeah.
My
They're
friend
thick
has one
case.
and he doesn't wear it. And he
Yeah.
was like, dude, I'll sell it to you for a song. So I wore it for
Yeah.
a week and I was like, I don't like this thing.
The one thing I do like that they did with these cases is with the Explorer as well as the GMT, they upsized the crowns.
Yeah,
upside-
for sure.
You know,
For sure.
'cause they always used to have the little
That's
Yeah.
what kept me.
a
That's why.
5.3 crown
That,
on that huge
it was
case.
funny because on
Dude.
that Coke at the office, I thought this is a fake crown. It
No,
was
they're
so
little.
small. What is
Yeah.
that?
That's just as far as the theory behind it, I don't know. It's not. It wasn't marketed as a dive watch.
It's a pilot's
So,
watch.
yeah.
So you.
Don't crash in the ocean.
Yeah, seriously. Like,
Yeah, I got it. So the big ones are because you're wearing dive gloves and shit.
Well, that and there's more gaskets.
Oh, there's more gaskets 'cause you're going down deeper?
The one on the GMT you're talking about just has 2 gaskets, one inside the case tube, one inside the crown. Whereas sub crowns, there's a gasket in the crown and 3 gaskets inside the tube and one at the base of the gasket.
Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
so technically there's four gaskets.
I think because of the Bruiser GMT that came out,
Yeah.
the regular GMT to me is like a sleeper. It's like underrated.
It's underrated. The one with the green hand now,
Yeah.
and the green writing.
Yeah.
That's the fucking best deal out there right now. Besides a used
For a brand
Sea
new
Dweller.
a
Yeah.
brand new Rolex,
Oh, yeah,
I think
brand
that
new.
one's especially used. You can find them reasonable.
Yeah.
That thing's tough as shit. Great movement. It looks cool. Like you're not gonna see it that often because everyone wants the Batman.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which the Batman is cool as shit. I'm sorry.
You like the Batman?
What they need to do is the new Pepsi.
Unbelievable.
It's only in white gold. They
I
need to
know.
make that thing in steel.
That
Well, we
bezel-
know that.
The color of that bezel
Yeah. Oh.
stinks.
You don't like it?
No.
It's
The
soft,
red's
right?
wrong.
Yeah.
The red is wrong.
Well, the blue. You know
not
what?
dark enough.
You know what it looks like to me? It super looks Art Deco, like old. What was that? What's that weird stuff back in the day? Like people would collect. Fuck, I forget what it's called. It's like a plastic for mic or whatever.
Bakelite.
Bakelite.
Yeah.
It's like Bakelite, like the early ones.
6542.
Right.
It looks like old. It looks like aged Bakelite.
Yeah, it really does. It looks like almost clay. You
I'm
know?
seeing a lot of broken ones.
Already?
really?
Yeah, I think they might be having a problem with it.
Well, I'd always
Soft.
heard when that first came out,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, this GMT's cool, and the guy, there used to be a guy named Tim who worked at Wanna Buy a Watch, who I loved. He wasn't like the watchmaker or an expert, but he loved watches, and he was like
Super passionate.
He was the nerd I could go in and nerd out with.
Right.
But he was like, yeah, that bezel, if you break it, it's $1,000.
How much is the
I was
bezel?
like,
is it
whoa.
1,000?
Yeah, they're like $1,500.
Really?
Yeah.
No fucking way.
So
Now,
this one,
Same story, yeah.
is it breaking more than the black ones?
Yeah, I think it's something. It's just that insert because it's way more common. The black inserts and even the other GMT inserts.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Now I read that it was 1,500 or 1,200 replaced, but recently on the Rolex forum I'm seeing 250, and people are saying that was a bullshit, the high price.
$250 for a ceramic
Yeah,
insert.
yeah.
Oh, that's super cheap. No way.
Yeah.
you know what though? Honestly, if I broke an insert, I would have someone glue it together with the pieces. It'd look kind of cool. I mean, be honest, it would look kind of badass.
You couldn't do
'cause
that,
you
can
see
you?
Spider insert.
Yes, you
collectible.
see
Spider
you see
insert.
broken Bakelights sometimes. Like
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
glued them to where they stick. You're like,
Dude,
man,
I've
that's-
repaired a ton of Bakelite.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Dude, talk about being nervous. I mean,
Oh, dude, forget it.
You're fucking playing with a $10,000 piece of 60-year-old pre-plastic.
Just the piece is 10 grand, just the piece?
If you can find a near new old stock, honest, genuine 6542 bezel, yeah, it's 10 G's.
I want to ask
At
about.
least.
How do you fix it?
It depends on how bad it's screwed up. I mean, a lot of them, they just get, like a couple cracks in them. So you just, you carefully glue them back
Reinforce the back.
Yep.
Okay.
Reinforce the back, epoxy them back together, and then same thing. Use a little too much of given epoxy, and sand it down, and then polish
Right.
it. And
That's
How
something.
do you practice that? Because you're only
Yeah.
doing like one maybe every couple years. A guy comes in, can you fix this? You're like, yeah.
a lot of people trip out. They, friends and clients come in and they'll, see me working on something. They're like, Jesus, man, slow down, take it easy. That's a $15,000 case you're working with. But when
Yeah.
you've done so many of them, and it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
When you've done the same process. So
Have you
many
ever
times.
fucked up like, uh-oh?
Oh yeah. No, I've screwed up in the early days. I mean, now.
like early tattooers?
Yeah.
Like,
You
whoa.
see early work, you're like, why does that cat have 3 ears?
Yeah, right? Do you ever see some of your early work? Guy comes in, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, a couple dealers I worked with, have, every once in a while I'll turn up with a piece I worked on like 10 years ago or something. I'm like, not that it looks bad, and by most people's standards, it looks like a good job, but
Yeah.
to my eye, I'm like,
Where do you? Okay, there's a site I go to all the time, and for some reason they have a lot of Omegas, but a ton of them that they refer to as like dial has expert restoration. So I don't know why they have so many with restored dials.
Right.
What do you consider just like when you say you got an old Omega?
right.
What do you consider just like cleaning up the dial on the watch versus restoring?
It depends on what their definition of
Do
restoration.
you think restoration is like adding new material, like maybe add like repainting a marker or like adding loom,
Yeah.
like things like that?
I mean, repainting is the that's a deal breaker for me. I mean,
Right.
when the dial's washed and refinished and repainted and relogoed, yeah, that's
What if it's
that's
just
dead.
what if it's just washed? Like if you get a dial that just has been
cleaned
weathered and it's patining and maybe there's you're worried that some of those pieces are going to be loosened and maybe get into the movement. Do you like clean it?
Yeah.
And that's not really. Do you consider that restoration?
Like a spider dial. I was reading in New York Times. Did you read that article a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, where they were saying, I was telling Kev about it, where they were talking about spider dials, they were talking about tropical dials, and they were talking about patina dials.
Right.
And they were saying how they were going up and people were buying them as an investment.
Oh, yeah.
And they were saying, cool investment, but if the dials change and just, fall, stuff falls apart in there and
Yeah.
everything, all of a sudden your watch is not worth 120,000 or whatever. It's going to be down to 30,000,
Yeah. I mean, it's weird that what Rolex considers manufacturing flaws, like the Spider Dial or the Cream Dial Explorer,
Yeah.
or dials that go tropical,
Yeah.
what they see as screw-ups have turned extremely valuable.
I think that's just a product of their consistency. That the only difference is like, oh, that GMT says no. They forgot to put the date on, or they didn't say date.
Yeah.
Floating 6 on the Daytona.
Yeah.
You know, like all these strange little things.
Fat lady GMT to me. My whole life, I'm like, I don't really get this.
Well, do you get
It's just
why
a bigger case, right?
It's a bigger case, right?
So
And what'd they do? 1 year?
No, they did it a couple years.
Was it a case from another? Was it like is it a sub case?
Well, it's got its own serial number. It's got its own model number. It's a 16760. And so
Okay.
it's the same height as a Sea Dweller of the same era.
Right.
Just
Whoa.
with the 5.3 crown.
Wow.
Super thick.
So it's
super
a
thick.
Sea Dweller GMT.
Kind of, yeah.
That's kind of badass. Now, I can see why they changed that right away. Look, they just made a mistake on the new Explorer last year with the too short of hands.
Right.
They don't say that they made a mistake. This year it came out and it said with extended hands.
Updated.
Upgraded.
Yeah. Now these people with the short hands, maybe in 10 years, it's like the Shorty. Explorer Shorty.
Yeah,
only
I'm
1
sure
year.
they'll-
Well, because I mean, we were talking like when the new Oyster Perpetuals came out, I was like, these are leftover Milgauss cases that they are not selling.
Yeah.
Like these are the white dial Milgauss cases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That they're like, we got to do something with this shit. Because it's not like Rolex makes 1,000 of them and see how they do. They make like 1 million of them. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, we only sold 300,000.
That's my wife's grill watch.
What's
Which
one?
one?
Milgauss.
I
Really?
love them,
Yeah.
dude.
Like, you mean an old one?
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh,
19. And I'm like, honey.
my Grail watch legit is the waffle dial Milgauss.
Yeah.
That thing is perfect.
Yep.
Weird size case, 37 millimeters.
Yep.
Yeah.
That, and you guys had, HQ had one a little while ago. They had it's the Oyster Quartz case, but it's a date, so it's not quartz movement. That thing is dope.
Oh, the 1530.
The 1530. Talk about never seeing
That's
them.
another watch I like working on.
That and they were really expensive, and then I saw something recently. Someone told me this. They were like, "Oh, Rolex," or they realized there was a lot more out there than they thought. So they went from like kind of $8,000 down to back like 5 or 6.
Really?
Yeah, because I think they thought they were like super rare, and they are.
Yeah,
Like you don't
they're
see them
pretty
very
rare.
often. That dial is super cool.
Yeah.
The bracelet is really cool and weird. Like if you wanted a Rolex you're never gonna see on someone, but don't want a quartz movement.
Yeah.
That's the move.
It's the only watch with a chapter ring. You know?
Yeah, it's so weird
so
looking.
cool.
Wait, which one with the chapter ring?
The 1530. So it's an oyster quartz case and bracelet. with
Yeah.
an
Oh,
automatic
yeah.
movement.
But it has
showed
an
that.
automatic
Yeah,
movement.
I remember
mean,
that,
and
yeah.
to be fair, an Oyster Quartz was worn by one of the explorers that went to Everest. Like that is a cool watch. It's just I don't want a Rolex with a battery.
Yeah.
No.
But the way the bracelet and the case is does look really different.
Yeah.
To
All flat
any other Rolex.
surfaces.
Yeah, all flat surfaces. It's just it's like futuristic looking in that 70s way.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty
cocaine. I
badass.
love
Those are-
that kind of stuff.
Those are one of the ones I've seen most trash, those bracelets, because people
Oh,
have
yeah.
no clue how to do them.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
the stretchy bracelet? Didn't even know it existed, and I'm a huge Rolex freak. My buddy has a turnograph, brings it out, had a stretch bracelet. Unbelievable. Why would they not make that anymore? Do they fall apart?
longevity, Yeah.
They fall, is that elastic in there or springs?
Springs.
God damn, it's
Yeah.
cool.
My friend
steel.
had one. It's pretty cool.
Oh, because you're
They're comfortable, super
Yeah,
comfortable.
crazy. Yeah, because your wrist changes all day.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
that's the beauty of some of those new Tudors is they have that expanding clasp.
Crazy.
Which, by the end of the day, your hand fills with
Get
blood.
hot, swelled up.
Yeah, you get swelled up.
Yeah.
I think Rolex will incorporate some of the small things that Tudor's doing that are working, I
Yeah.
think. It seems to be the perfect testing ground. Like,
Yeah.
let's see how people respond to gilt dial.
Right.
Like this, the kind of more heritage stuff.
Oh God, it's so great because if they did a heritage line Rolex and you could get a Milgauss from back in the day style, I
forget
mean
about it.
through the roof,
But I wonder. Rolex obviously knows what they're doing. Like they do very, very well. And they must. There's no way they don't know this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least talk to people about the stuff. They must know. Like, no, what we do is we create new models that become historic. If we look back too much,
Yeah.
because I almost think Omega is looking back like a little too much. Not a lot. I want new models that like nod the old models.
Right.
but not overdo it. The Explorer 2, if the case was smaller, would have been a perfect thing. Like, just the hand.
Yeah, just that orange hand. Just slap that in there.
Yeah, but like if you go back too far, you get in that weird Bell and Ross heritage world where you're like, I don't know about this.
That's
Like
tough.
this is just admitting like our designs blow ass for a long
We
time.
need new ideas.
Yeah, like we suck right now. Like that. Whereas like Rolex is like, no, we make cool ass watches. Like I think Sky Dwellers are cool as
You like them?
shit.
I did too. Let's talk about
weird-
the Sky Dweller.
The watchmaker at Want to Buy a Watch told me, he's like, I would give anything to open one of these up.
Yeah,
Because
what's it like
he
in
said
there?
he wants to, he's like, you adjust the whole watch with the bezel. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That's
crazy.
Crazy.
The Yachtmaster 2 is very similar.
Okay.
Now, how do you when the Sky Dweller comes out? How do you know how to work on it? Does Rolex send you some schematics or
No.
something? You open it and you go, holy
Is
shit!
it even possible
Yeah.
to get that? Because that's proprietary shit.
Yeah, for the most part, it is.
Well, how do you work on it?
But you,
I've never worked on one.
yeah, they're not out long enough for someone
Yeah.
to send you one. But
Right.
what would you do? Would you be like, hey, I'm gonna need this for a while?
Reverse engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Sky Dwellers are cool. Like for like a rich dude watch, if you're like,
Totally.
I'm gonna go big.
If they made it stainless steel, I'd own it.
The off-white dial, the brown dial, like that thing, the white gold one with the off-white dial, you're like,
Yeah.
all right, I get it. Like when it first came out, I was like, gross, and then I saw one in person, I was like, not gross,
Not
no,
not too bad.
so hip hop too.
Yeah.
All the hip hop world grabbed it.
Yeah.
Gold's making a big comeback. Man.
Gold
Oh.
is 18, just
I
straight
can't,
18.
I can't tell you how many people are like, I think I want a gold watch, and I'm all.
Our
to
buddy
me-
just bought one.
Yeah, to me, I think a gold, like 60s, 70s, all gold date just is a great value.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
You're
they,
saving so much money.
1803s. So just
All day.
yeah,
well, the day
skyrocketed.
date platinum that I love with the honeycomb dial now comes 18 karat with the black with the gold honeycomb dial.
Yeah.
That is a fucking primo watch. About 24 grand. I mean, they're 32 or whatever. You can get it
Yeah.
for like 24.
Yeah.
But that thing is fire. My buddy
sweet.
rolled up to fucking Starbucks with it. And I was like, oh, dick.
1803s, I think, are still a really good value. Because if I got a gold watch, I don't know if I'd want to wear the bracelet. It's a little too noticeable.
Yeah.
So
You gotta get the oyster bracelet.
yeah, you get So but even that, I'd probably put it on a strap.
Yeah.
So you can get one on a strap
A NATO
for the
strap?
same price as
Yeah.
a steel sub.
Like a nice leather NATO with gold hardware.
Yeah,
That
the
looks
whole
sweet.
thing, like that would look really, really nice.
Wow.
But I noticed a lot of people are like, I think I want a gold watch. Also, Walt Disney wore a gold date chest, and so did Martin Luther King Jr. on Jubilees. Like
It's
those things
crazy.
are cool looking.
Dude,
Yeah.
gold subs. Like gold 16.
Gold
yeah,
subs.
dude. Those dials.
16808, like with the nipple dial.
Yeah,
Oh.
the GMTs
Yeah.
are reasonable.
Oh.
I mean, the subs are like, I see them for like 17 grand, but like the GMTs are, you see them for 12.
It's weird. The GMTs have disappeared. I've
Oh, really?
found so many vintage gold subs recently, and I can't tell you the last time I got like a vintage gold GMT.
I think
I don't know where they went.
two-tone GMTs are a good value.
Yeah.
On
My
a Jubilee,
buddy just
Rupert's
bought
the way to
the
go.
my
Oh,
buddy
yeah?
bought
Oh,
the
yeah.
floating dial Daytona gold, fucking mint.
our friend he was like, I want a gold watch, and I was
Yeah.
like, I sent him to the HQ. I was like, have you ever looked at a gold Daytona? I'm like, this is a 90s gold Daytona, and you're gonna save 10 grand.
And you're gonna be
Oh, yeah.
cool as fuck.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I mean, cocaine.
That's why vintage watches really do it for me. It's like, anybody with a, fat bank account can walk into an authorized dealer and buy,
Yeah.
but it's the thrill of the hunt, for the vintage
See that,
stuff.
but as a non-expert, I find the thrill of the hunt a little terrifying.
Yeah, well, so
I mean, you seem pretty well versed.
But
yeah,
it's
but we're
still, I've
scared what's
had-
inside.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't look inside, and while I'm knowledgeable, I'm not an expert by any stretch. And as I've been into watches longer and longer, it seems to be like the actual dealers I'll want to buy from, the pool gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah, yeah.
Because even if I hear one story, I'm like, uh-oh.
It's
well,
so,
you're right. Buy the seller.
so what
Yeah,
do
you
you
buy
think?
the
What do
seller.
you think it's going to make you safe? Because I was telling Kevin, I told you, I would buy new watches because I can't sleep at night with the fear of 6 years from now going to get it serviced, and you go, dude, this is fake.
If I had Paul Newman Daytona money, I
Yeah.
wouldn't buy one.
Yeah.
It's too scary.
Yeah.
It's literally too scary to me.
So what do you think? Box papers, is that going to keep you safe?
For me, condition is everything. I would much rather have a super, super crisp vintage piece without provenance as opposed to a shitty overpolished case and a rough dial.
Well, of course, but I'm saying for peace of mind, is it just get the piece and come see you and you open it and go, it's real?
That'll help. I mean, the same way, when you're buying classic cars, get a PPI. Get somebody to inspect it who doesn't have a dog in the race, and
Yeah. And you just open it up and go, this is real.
Yeah, a lot of clients do that. A lot of collectors will have, dealers that I have a good relationship with, that we have a dealer account with, that we do a ton of business with. Just like you. Jacek had that watch shipped to me, and you came and picked it up for me.
Yeah.
It goes the opposite way. A lot of collectors do that. They'll have a dealer ship a watch to me, and not even necessarily for authentication purposes. Just like, hey, dude, check it out. See if it needs service.
Yeah.
See if it needs anything. Make sure it's good to go before I put it on my wrist and take off.
Right.
And do you charge for that service?
Yeah, but it's pretty nominal.
That's what I'm saying. That to me seems like, and I don't know, but
Peace of mind.
Yeah.
that to me would be so worth it.
Totally.
Because that feeling you get when there's a moment where you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's a pit in your stomach. You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
really
God,
feel
no.
like that. I feel
Because
horrible.
like we're not rich.
Yeah, not at all. We have no money.
The health of my dog plays a larger part in my watch collection than any other aspect at this point.
We have no money, so if we have one, like if I own a watch and you see it on my wrist, it's just straight up my parachute in case something goes bad. I sell it and I have the money, because if money's in the bank, I just burn it
gets
up on
spent. Yep.
sushi and dumb shit.
And it's not going to appreciate.
Right.
Well, it's
exactly.
his will.
Right.
Yeah.
So nothing more fears me than, oh my God, this is fake. So I'm so glad that I met you. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable.
My pleasure.
What do you
Thanks,
think
man.
for people?
I
What
was
do
a
you
big fan of you before you showed up. Like, what the fuck is Dean Delray doing in my
It's
office?
so weird when he came around the corner. He goes, Dean Delray, and I'm all, I go, you know me?
Yeah,
That was
I
hilarious.
love stand-up, man. I really love comedy. Spent
Who
a
do
lot
you
of time at
like?
The House House. Like you, obviously, Burr. Forget about all the classics, Carlin and all those
Yeah,
guys. I love Rogan, Tony Hinchcliffe. Diaz is insane
dude.
right
Yeah.
now.
How did you get into comedy? Because you were in MMA. Were you listening to Rogan's podcast?
Listening
is
to
that how
JRE.
you, is that how you found us?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
That
Karen.
dude, that podcast has probably
Huge.
bought. I
oh.
think about the number of comedy people it's brought to comedy.
And also the careers that it's launched. You know,
yeah.
Ari,
fuck yeah. I mean,
Ari, Diaz, Tony.
I was on it, and I go all over between Marin Rogan and Pete Holmes. I go places, and immediately they're like, "I heard you on Rogan.
Yeah.
I heard
That was
you
like
on
a
Marin."
year ago you did JRE, right? That was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a year ago. Yeah,
I remember listening to
I'm
it.
ready to go on again. Come on, Rogan. Yeah.
There's a guy that tweets Rogan once every 3 months. Hey, have Kevin Christy on. I'm like, we know each other.
He was just talking about people Twitter bombing him the other day. It's like, dude, that's the last way to get you on
Yeah,
my
I was like,
podcast.
dude,
Well, that's what we were saying. Like I was talking to
if
Rogan
he wanted me
about it.
on, he'd ask me when we're in the hallway.
Yeah, I know. It's so true, right? Like,
I don't know enough about space. Like, I don't even, I'd be like, yo, man, I don't know about space, dude.
Some of the guys he has on there, man, are just way over my head.
I had a great time.
That's
on there
why it's
because we
great.
were ping ponging on everything: hot rods, rock and roll, motorcycles, life, age, everything. You know.
He's another guy that's into fun stuff.
Yeah, he is.
Cars and bow hunting.
If you had to tell people, if someone wants to buy a Rolex, what do you think? And they're like, what's the safest Rolex for me to buy that I don't have to worry so much about it being fake and it'll do everything I'm looking for? What do you tell people?
Stainless steel sub. Always.
That's what I say.
Yeah, just a brand new one though, right? Just go in
sure.
and get the stainless steel
Or
stuff.
even just like a pre-owned, model that's 5-10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
90 subs. I think they're the best value in watches right
Yep.
now.
Tell us, have you been to Baselworld?
I have not. No.
You have not.
No.
Yeah,
Those are the big boys.
those are
Yeah.
big boys. Yeah, really. You should go
My
once. huh?
business partner's been in. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you got a partner in the biz. You guys have been in biz how long?
Yeah.
Where you used to be downtown?
Yeah, but we moved to our location in Pasadena just in June, so we've only been there a couple months.
Give all the info on your place.
Yeah, it's Los Angeles Watchworks. You can find us, our website's Los Angeles Watchworks. Instagram is at LA Watchworks. We're in Pasadena, 21080 East Walnut.
I love you, man.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
And your
Appreciate it, brother.
Instagram is LA.
At Los Angeles Watchworks.
Yeah, because and you need to get some more photos up there.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm too busy working, man. I'm like,
That's
shit,
the
I need
problem
to
with
post something.
the watch game. It's all about
Yeah.
photos.
Yeah.
Well, because you have a gold mine every day of people bringing in watches that you can
yeah.
take.
I just want to see parts.
Yeah.
When I see parts, I'm like, that's a.
Oh, I was at his shop, dude, and we're at this table, and there's dials, and there's movements, and there's watches, and there's hands, and everything. I go, wow.
How many times have you coughed and just shot a spring across the room, and you're on your hands and knees for an hour trying to find it?
more times than I'd like to
Like
remember.
Wow,
air, like
really?
loose air is your enemy.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That is your Darth Vader. Like, dude, like you do someone like you drop a piece of paper.
Yeah.
4 watch parts are on the ground.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck
Gotta be
that.
careful.
Dude.
Freshly sharpened tweezers are the key to not losing shit.
Wow.
You know? And sharp screwdrivers.
Wow. There's a
sharp screwdrivers.
Oh, yeah.
A. Lang started like a watchmaker school, and they have some good videos that just show them people picking stuff up, and I'm like, fuck. Because one time someone was like, you should become a watchmaker. You like watches so much. I was like, are you insane?
Yeah.
I don't want migraines that
Yeah.
level.
Do you go crazy?
Nah, you're talking about school. I got a good buddy who's coming out of Rolex's school who just graduated.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there is a big shortage of watchmakers.
Yeah.
Is that? Do you think that'll be like a career people could go into? Because there's never going to be enough.
Right. Yeah.
Just because it's not a thing people learn how to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely kind of looked at as a dying trade.
But I think you have to have a certain kind of mind to do it. It's not it's not like any other
Right.
service trade. Like, it's weird.
Micromechanics is
You love it?
yeah. Oh, I love working on watches.
That's great.
I
I think you'd have to.
You got it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's,
Well, I mean, because it's like a lot of people after a while, you're like, wow, I'm kind of burnt on this. You know what I mean?
sometimes you get frustrated and it gets mundane, but I mean, then I stop and think like, dude, I'm getting paid to work on, literally, as crazy as it sounds, some of the world's most important vintage wristwatches. Like, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like, what was the highest dollar watch you ever worked on?
I mean, there are Newmans that come
Newmans.
through there.
Do they come in there?
Yeah, I've worked on quite a few Newmans.
And that's the Valjoux movement in
Yeah.
there?
Is that what that is?
Yeah, Valjoux 72.
Let's go through the movements on the Daytona. It's a Valjoux, then it's Zenith, now it's in-house?
Yep, Zenith, then in-house. Yeah.
What's your favorite movement in a Daytona?
Yeah.
I like the Zenith.
Okay.
No shit over the
Zenith
Rolex?
Daytonas now are totally reasonable.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're the same as any other one
Yeah.
now.
Why-
Which that's
I mean,
crazy to me.
They're still a little up there.
A
I mean, you get
little.
Black Dial Zenith, you're still going to go 10 plus.
But
That's
I mean,
great. The new
normal
one's
Daytonas,
13.
Yeah.
they used to be such a premium on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's interesting to me is now I notice just any chronograph has gotten kind of expensive. Vintage chronographs of
Yeah.
all kinds, but like companies like Zenith and actual Valjoux and Lamania
Right.
are becoming more collectible because now people know, like, well, that was the movement of this watch,
Yeah.
and I don't have to spend that money, and it's cool. You know,
Right.
it's for like deep collectors who are looking for like other stuff to nerd out on.
Yeah.
That's cool to me.
Those are the guys that are, collecting for the movement.
Wow. Yeah,
which
right.
that's cool.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the original watch collecting was.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought.
Absolutely, yeah.
Why do you like the Zenith movement over the new Rolex movement?
A little more simplistic than the in-house movement, and just as, if not more, robust.
Wow, really?
Less parts.
Wow,
Yeah.
no shit, huh?
Great movement to work on. Super accurate. It's
Super accurate.
yeah.
Wow, that's a good tip.
Black Dial Daytona.
Black Dial Zenith Daytona with like the first year or two they made it, when it didn't have the bitone bracelet, it was just a satin with no flip lock, just the fold over. Dude, that's
I've
for
seen
me,
the-
that's-
What year is
yeah.
that?
It's what?
91?
90.
Yeah, early 90, 91.
So it's
92.
not a polished
It's
link?
not.
Yeah, it's
I
all
would
satin.
see. I would see him, and I'd be like, "Wait, did that guy polish
Wrong-
that?"
Is that the wrong bracelet?
And I would be like, "Oh my god, if that was real." If to me, I don't love polished links.
Me
I'm not
either.
a polished like.
Me either.
Like I've seen like the new GMT, and a guy like Tim was like, a guy came in with like, he goes, "Give me that watch," and he just took him back and polished the links out.
A lot of guys send
Can
me
you do
GMT
that?
bracelets. Yeah, a
Can
lot
you
of
do
guys,
that?
Yeah, they send me GMT bracelets. They like just the bracelet.
How do you do it?
Yeah, just satin. The tricky thing with those is
Is that like Scotch-Brite?
no, it's a wheel. It's a proprietary wheel.
Uh-huh. What's
But-
the tricky part?
The clasp, the new clasp. It's not just, you know what I mean. It's like a 3-part clasp.
yeah.
So everything has to be torn
It's got
apart.
a bump. It bevels.
Yeah.
There's like another
Wow.
stepped up level.
Yeah.
So on the watch, it would be that there. So it's only the band that is the dull part, right? Is that right? On a or is there like a flat part on the watch too?
On the
I think on the GMT.
On the
or
GMT.
There's like the top of the case
yeah, the
is
top
satin, the
sides are polished.
polished.
Yeah,
So could you?
But that's like old date just too.
yeah.
Could you do that? You get the new GMT and then just make it look like a sea dweller?
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, I can do damn near anything. We've done a lot of crazy mods over the years. I've done, like the finish on the mill sub because the Ministry of Defense didn't want reflective surfaces.
Yeah.
So they had satin cut sides as well as the tops. And
Yeah.
the chamfer.
Wow.
So like I've
Yeah.
taken like 16610s and 14060s, Note 8 subs, and done like a mill sub finish, dude. We've welded fixed bars like a mill sub.
Whoa.
All kinds of crazy stuff.
That's why those old Hamilton field watches are like that gray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because they
they're
can't
media
have.
blasted.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah, that's just
So
cool.
if you do take the shiny middle out, can you restore it back to the way?
Yep.
Wow.
That's what he was saying. He's like, yeah, and if you want it back when you want to sell it, like
Yeah.
just bring it back in.
Oh, I'm in on that
Yeah.
because that's why I never liked those other watches, because to me, there's nothing more beautiful than the flat fuckingness of a sea dweller,
Yep.
man.
Tool watch.
I think I've said I think one of the main reasons for their success is the oyster bracelet.
Yeah.
It's such a good bracelet. It fits better than any other one. Like it's just perfect looking. It's
Yep.
simple. It's thick. Like even the rivet ones. Like you're just like they nailed the bracelet so early.
I think that's why they made just subtle changes over the years.
Yeah,
you know? It was
Jubilees
a
are
winner.
great. Jubilees
Jubilee's
fit great.
God.
Jubilee
Yeah.
to me is such a like 70s businessman look. I love
like
it.
them on GMTs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
that's what-
Jubilee on a GMT is a must.
I was
Yeah.
looking at that Coke on HQ, the one that has replaced hands, because I have a Jubilee bracelet. I'm like, I could do this right now, but
Would you
replaced
buy
hands
that?
bother
Buy
me.
GMT?
Buy it. We got new old stock trading hands. We'll slap
I
on there
will
for you.
talk to you
Wait a
in
minute.
an hour.
You got new old stock hands?
yeah.
Are they
Oh,
will they match though?
Oh yeah, dude. We've got it wasn't my find once again.
That dial is
Eric,
is beat.
Wait,
my business partner from a retired watchmaker in Switzerland bought over 100 sets of new old stock tritium hands.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Are you
I was like,
serious?
man, are you fucking kidding me? Really?
Wow.
Insane.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like, you get the watch and case is perfect, dial's perfect, but it's got Luminova hands because
Yeah.
Rolex serviced it. Slap on a new set.
Unbelievable. Hey, you're
Shameless
in.
plug.
There's your watch search is
I'm
over.
probably in because that bezel's faded and sweet looking.
Dude, that
and
is
even though
sick.
the dial has that track mark and all the, I was like, yeah, I want it beat looking.
Yeah.
Because you know what I love? I love Seiko divers, and there's
Dude, you're
that
preaching to the choir.
that
That's
new the Pepsi bezel Seiko diver to me.
the patty. Get the patty.
That thing is so dope looking,
Yep.
and it looks just like a Coke with a Jubilee.
Yep.
That thing, and talk about a value.
I have every iteration of the Seiko diver.
They're great. And
You do?
I just
I
started.
bought them when they were dirt cheap too.
How many watches you got?
Personal collection?
Yep.
Not as many as you'd think. I mean, I've got like 10 watches.
10?
Probably, yeah.
And what are they all Rolexes mostly?
No, a few Rolexes. I've got a Datejust I really liked that was actually my dad's.
Yep.
It was a
Sweet.
super rare sodalite dial.
Really?
Yeah. A couple subs. A vintage sub, vintage 5513, and then
The new sub.
A 5513, man. You
Super basic,
cannot go
yeah.
wrong.
Yep. I've got a Sea Dweller. And
A Sea Dweller, what year?
Yeah, like 90. It's a 666.
I have one of
Oh,
those.
that's
Great.
my favorite, the Sea Dweller.
Really like him.
I love the Sea Dweller. Do you like it?
Yeah. Oh, I love it, dude. The ultimate tool watch. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Goes deeper and harder than anything else.
It's
Yeah.
bulletproof.
Yeah.
I like the old ads for the Sea Dweller too, in National Geographic.
Yeah.
Like those are pretty sweet.
Do you like the new Sea Dweller?
Oh yeah, the Sea Dweller 4000.
Yeah.
The deep sea is a little bit.
That's
from,
no
they're
good, yeah,
Huge,
yeah,
but
yeah.
the Sea Dweller 4000 is a
They
shit.
made a mistake with the band on the deep sea. If they
Yeah.
put a big band on it, it'd be phenomenal.
It's the
The body's weird.
at the lugs it's okay, but they tapered it too small.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm
Should have
saying.
kept it at 20.
Yeah, they should have
Exactly.
kept it at 20, and it would
It
be it would
tapered.
be a grail watch for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a real popular one.
It would.
From there, my collection's mostly weird stuff. A lot of Seiko divers.
They're fucking awesome.
everywhere
looking.
from the 6217 all the way up. So the 6105, the 6309.
Yeah.
A bunch of versions of like the modern divers.
Do you like what's
couple
what's the space one? They call it the Pogue.
the Pogue? Yeah,
Do you have
the-
one of
the
those?
Chrono, I don't.
I got one of those. I got want to buy a watch has a Seiko box because
Mm-hmm.
for them it's not worth them to sell them really. They don't make enough profit. And he was like, we have a box. And
I
I
gotta
was-
go see Ken and dig into that box.
He's got some
Wow.
good ones. He's got like the root beer one. He's got another one of the Pogues. He had like, and
How much are they?
they're like in the low hundreds.
Yeah.
Like I think I
Wow.
paid $400 for
Dude,
mine.
Wow.
Such cool watches, man.
Yeah.
For such little money.
Is that a manual wind or automatic?
The Pogue's automatic, I think. Automatic.
you-
It's automatic.
Do you
That's what
prefer-
sucks about the divers. You can't wind them on the crown. You got to shake them.
Yeah, you can't
Do
handle it.
you
Yeah.
prefer automatic or manual? Most watch freaks are manual, right?
Either way. I mean, it depends on the watch. If we're talking old school military watches, then yeah, manual. A lot of collectors. That's why I like the early historic Panerais. A lot of collectors like just the act of waking up
And
and
winding
like
it.
you know,
Yeah.
having that alone time, you know, winding
Yeah.
our watch
I
up,
liked
slapping
winding
it
my
on.
It's like
Speedmaster.
flipping a record, man.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
flipping a record.
Yep.
That's what was so great about that Lang, man. The smoothest wind you've like. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I love that.
buttered
I
smooth.
shouldn't have sold that thing, man. God damn it.
I like the you know, like 8-day movements, like, you know, you wind it up, it's good for 8 days.
That
like,
shit, right?
That's
the
crazy,
Panerai
yeah.
8-day
Yep,
movements.
yep, twin barrel. it's
Yeah,
like
I
bitchin'.
love that stuff, but I can't stand when they put the gauge on the front. 8 days,
Yeah.
you know, with the little arm that goes down.
I'll
I
tell
like it
you
on the
when
back
they,
now.
when they did it right is the PAM 190. It's a radium mirror, and it's actually got a JLC movement.
Uh-huh.
And you know, it's got the showcase back. You know, it's got a sapphire
yeah,
case
love
back so
that.
you can see. And the
Things-
power reserve meter is on the flip side.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. It's amazing back there because
Super-
I think JLCs are underrated too. They're
J-
kick
Bitchin'
ass.
Watches.
JLC.
Yeah, especially the old ones, like old Memovoxes are sweet looking.
I just did a old JLC super compressor for a guy. Oh yeah. I think it was
How many
love-
watches do you do a week?
25, 30.
Fuck.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's
Not,
a
now,
lot.
keep in mind, not full movement services.
Right. I get it. I get it. But just
various
servicing.
states of restoration.
How long does it take to full movement service like a sub? If someone just a 90 sub, like a very normal, just and nothing's wrong with it. You're just like, yeah, it probably hasn't been serviced in a decade. Can you
Are we
just
talking the like our service queue, or actually just from start to finish taking the watch apart and servicing it?
taking it apart and servicing it?
2 days.
2 days.
2 days.
Jesus.
Well, and that includes QC, because you know, I mean, you gotta test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how often should people get their Rolexes serviced? They saying that we can go 5 years
Yeah.
now.
The industry standard's 5 years, but I mean, you know,
10?
between 5 and 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as it starts out running weird, right? Bring it in.
I've got a client we've had for years, a diver. He was a commercial diver, like an underwater welder.
Oh yeah.
His whole career, and now he just has
Sat diver.
Yeah, now he's just a recreational diver. You know, he's retired, but he's got a 1680, so you know, vintage sub.
Yeah.
And he's logged over 1,100 dives on it.
1,100 dives. Any
that's-
services?
Yeah. Oh, he comes in every couple years.
Yep.
He comes in every couple years, and we do all new gaskets, a new crystal, because he beats the shit out of the acrylic
Also,
crystal.
that top hat crystal seems to me to be ripe for the
Yeah.
water making
Oh.
its way inside.
No.
Okay.
The acrylic crystal is actually a great design.
Is it?
Because under pressure, they flex.
Wow.
Sapphires don't.
Wow.
But yeah, he comes in every couple years, and he gets all new gaskets, a new crystal, and then we'll do a full depth pressure test, back out to dive.
Now, you did a depth pressure test while I was there, and that machine, what does that machine cost? Big money?
The Poseidon, it's like $5,000.
It's so weird. It was
Like
just
that
a,
it's called a Poseidon.
it was a small box. He stuck it in there, and it just fucking did pressure on it and shot. Now, what'd you say? It shoots water inside, and then it like releases.
No,
like,
it pressurizes the chamber
Yeah.
to for a dive watch, we'd go up to like 10 bars. So, and if there's any variance, they know it knows it's getting into the watch, and it'll fail the test.
Oh, so the pressure in the chamber changes because the water's
goes
making its
inside the
way
watch.
inside the watch.
Right.
wow.
makes
And then
sense.
after that, if we're talking deep dive, like sat diving, you mentioned,
Yeah.
like for sea dwellers, we have a Roxer wet tester.
Okay.
A
Yeah,
what?
that goes up to like 100 bars or something.
You had that weird old one from like the 40s or whatever. It looked like a.
the vintage Rolex one. Yeah.
yeah, that thing was sick,
Yeah.
man.
We don't use it anymore, but it's a very cool piece.
Have you
can't-
seen those weird bracelets some guys making? They look like sub bezels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty funny looking.
They're coming out of Hong Kong in planes.
Yeah, I'm not mad at them. Like
Yeah.
I saw, I was like, yeah, okay.
Dude, thanks for doing the show,
Hey, my
man.
pleasure, Dean. Absolutely.
It's so great. You got to come out and do some comedy, and I'll take Kev up to the shop.
Great. Please
And
do.
and we'll just come up for a day. Hopefully he'll get that watch, and we'll bring it up and get
Yeah, I
some hands
might
on there.
be there
Awesome.
this week.
Yeah, we'll get some hands on it and put that
watches.
Jubilee and just hang out and have lunch.
Beautiful.
Dude, once again, name of the
Your
shop.
watch, man.
Huh?
Your watch. We got to get you.
Yeah,
your
yeah,
watch.
yeah,
Here we go. Unboxing.
yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, so it was running 30 seconds ahead.
Yeah, it was 30 seconds fast a day.
And is that what? Why is that? Is there like a spring that's too tight?
No, they just get out of adjustment over the years.
Did you clean the whole thing?
We did what we call a vintage refinish on that. So we left the polished sides alone. All we did is just sharpen up the chamfers.
Yeah.
And recut the tops of the lugs so they're super sharp.
Look at that thing, dude. Whoa. Anything on the strap?
Yeah, cleaned up the
Yeah,
base.
look,
Dude,
yeah,
that
the
thing
bracelet
is
looks
sharp as hell.
dude.
See, that's the thing. It's new looking.
It
That's
looks
what was,
brand new.
That was what was so confusing by that picture. I was like, wait.
Dude,
I
the
don't get
band looks brand new.
In my head, I honestly thought you guys were taking molten steel,
Yeah.
giving a thin skin of it, like
Yep,
dipping the
me
watch
too.
in molten steel,
Me too.
and then laser cutting basically a case from like some weird schematic that you had in a laser cutting machine. I was like, that's the only way this makes sense.
Look at this thing, though. That the fucking. What do you do? What'd you do to the strap? It looks brand new.
Yeah, just fresh satin.
Fresh satin, like what? You put something on it?
Yeah, well, just we use a satin wheel, a proprietary satin wheel.
Unbelievable! This fucking thing.
That thing is new.
Wow.
My pleasure, bro.
Now here's the only mark on it. The bezel.
Bezel,
See it?
yeah. Ah, you're gonna scratch it anyway.
But I didn't do it. Can you get me one if I trade it in?
We could probably get you one.
All right, cool. I'm in. Fuck, dude, this is incredible.
Nice.
Wow, man, that is insane. Now it was running 30 seconds fast.
Right.
How does that happen?
No, it just gets out of adjustment over the years. Yeah.
Wow.
Same way your valves need adjusted on your car.
Yeah.
It's weird that something getting maybe potentially looser would make it run faster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't know.
right?
Or maybe it's maybe it's gravity. I don't know.
Yeah, go either way.
Look at this thing, dude. I mean, because, like I was thinking, like, because he looked at it with the fucking thing and he goes, it's been a hair polished, probably with a cloth or something,
Yeah.
not
Just
with
shining
a
it up, Cape
Yeah.
Cod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, to the naked eye, it looked unpolished. But he looked at it right away and went, yeah, I can just tell. And then I was like, get rid of that. But now it's like a lifer watch.
Yeah, we bring them back to life, man.
Oh, my God, dude. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, dude.
Wow.
You
All
got it,
right. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, to
you.
the ultimate nerding of watching.
We did a watch episode of my podcast, but we couldn't answer any questions because there was no other expert. It was just me going, I mean, I like the color of
think
this
so.
one.
Dude,
Great time, guys. Fuck, thanks to
hey,
both
dude,
of you.
this kills.
Yeah, glad you like it.
Wow.
Wear it in good health.
Yeah.